Welcome to the Nonessential podcast. I am Steve Gibson.
That was my... I don't have a party blower, but yeah. I'm Ben Matlock, and we've done 200 of these. Well, we're about to do 200 of these.
I know. You know what's bad is I forgot I was going to try to bring some fanfare to my voice when we started the show, and then and we were talking, and it was fine, and then we hit record, and it's just like, welcome to the Non-Essential Podcast. They're fucking back.
Well, that's good, because I'm bringing the energy right now, but I didn't bring it this week. So if you thought like we were going to do something special for our 200th episode, talk to us a little more. Well, you'll get an idea of what we're about.
For our 200th episode, we've got Jeff Goldblum, Christopher Walken, and
Adam Sandler. And like it's great because if you ever see Adam Sandler in interviews, he's very much like it looks like they pulled him out of bed. Like, so there's like no energy to it.
You can only do cocaine so much of your life, though. Like you got to have down. I don't know.
I don't think he.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what he's known for.
I just assumed with the kind of movies that he did, you know, there's
maybe Uncut Gems. He went into like method acting for that. I don't think that dude did cocaine in that movie, but he looked like he did a lot of cocaine in that movie.
He actually strikes me as not really a drug, although he could be because he's a comedian. There's like a 90% chance that you're on some kind of drug if you're a comedian. But
the vibe
I think it's more that he brings so much energy to those roles that like the rest of his life is just like, eh.
Yeah, I feel like the rest of his life is like how I am on a Sunday. Where it's like...
Which is fine. It should be that way.
It's like sweatpants or basketball shorts. And I'm a zombie. I have enough brain power operating that day to follow sports and maybe order food. Maybe. And I feel like he's perpetually in that state.
And I appreciate that because those people that are perpetually high energy creep me the fuck out. It's like...
Yeah.
Well, it's a mix between being creeped out and being exhausted by them. It's like, I don't have energy for your energy.
It's like people who are like morning people who are like, you know, oh, hey, how are you? And it's like, it's 7 a.m. I'm pissed. How are you?
Right. I had to correct Tara a couple times because she always tells people, she's the kind that'll sleep till like the last possible second and then 5 more minutes. And then we're late every single day, literally.
Yeah, but fuck it.
But, not the last like 2 weeks because we've been sick and that's a whole different thing. But normally I'm up at like 4:30 or 5 and I'll work out and stuff. And so she'll be talking and she'll be like, "Oh, Steve's a morning person." I'm like, No. Fuck that. I'm like, morning person implies that you're up and you're happy. I'm up and want to kill anybody that opens their mouth. Yeah. Like I'm not happy to be up. I just like if you want to describe me, I'm an insomniac. That's a way better.
I'm actually deeply miserable about the fact I'm not asleep right now.
Exactly. I'm not up like, let's go, pep, pep, pep. It's like, fuck it.
Yeah, and I've never been a morning person. And then, like, once I hit 30, something weird happens where you're not even a night owl anymore. So you just, like, it's like Saturday and 11 o'clock. I'm feeling pretty tired.
Yeah. I'm squarely there. We of course, put Lincoln to bed before we do the show, and I was, like, asleep on the floor next to it. Tara's like, oh, we gotta go. And it's like, oh, cool. Mm-hmm. So it's lucky that I'm talking at all right now, because...
So yeah, with that little ramble bit aside, this is the Non-Essential Podcast, episode 200. 294. No. So on the show, we tell each other stories, and most of the time I phone it in. And this is one of those times. Because it is a Creepypasta episode. I did have some topics I was going to do, but this week has been really, really shitty and long.
Oh, yeah.
Not like a, family disaster or some shit, but just the general shit we all live with.
That one pesky detective seems to be on your trail. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah, and the fucking cocaine balloon is in your ass, and you know it burst, and you know what's coming. And it's death. mainly, and it's just a tough thing to deal with. So while I'm still with us, let's read a story. This is by a user, author's HumboldtLycanthrope. And the story is called The Long List.
So the guy that discovered the squid discovered a werewolf too, and that's what this guy is. He's the HumboldtLycanthrope. I think that's what a lycanthrope is, isn't it? Werewolf?
Yeah, I don't know. It might. I don't know if that's one of those like. Well, technically, it could mean transform into any animal. It's like
so it's a were-squid. That's terrifying.
Yeah. God damn it, that would be gross. That would actually be some pretty good body horror for a horror movie.
It really would. Because, that would be less scary for the people around the were-squid. It would just be the guy that's like...
Because, a werewolf is just, close enough to a human. It's you get hairier and teeth and claws and stuff.
And muscles.
But imagine you're becoming even, fleshier.
Yeah, and not only that, but, the werewolf, it becomes a werewolf and you're stalking, your normal hunting grounds. You would become a squid in the middle of a fucking shopping mall.
You're a squid in my living room.
Yeah, that's not particularly threatening. And
yeah, if you come into that, don't go into that room. Ben's transformed and he might slap you if you get too close. Sitting there.
If you come within reach, you're screwed. Damn it! Everybody stays just Anyway,
and all you hear is just the wet, just
that. Squelching sounds.
Yeah. So, this is the long list. Let's begin. Because I'm very tired.
Eggs, mayonnaise, milk.
The long grocery list. When Melissa was 14 years old, her father sold her to a crank cook named Possum for 2 pounds of crystal meth and a broken-down Trans Am.
It took me a second because when you said crank cook, I didn't know what that meant. I was like, so it's just like a crabby cook,
a mean cook.
Yeah.
Possum kept her chained to a rusty wood stove during the day with a mason jar of water and a box of Cheerios, while he worked in the lab back behind the trailer, breaking Sudafed and ephedrine tablets down into glass-like shards of amphetamine. In the evening, Possum would swing open the door, the cap-hissed stench of burning chemicals wafting into the tiny trailer, and unchain her so she could make him meals, wash dishes, and mop. At night, as the bullfrogs began to bark and the crickets chirped, she would press her fist into her mouth, trying to stifle her cries of pain as he lay upon her, his rank smell of sweat and chemicals overwhelming her. So, Possum's a piece of shit.
Yeah, but so is her dad.
Yeah. He also named Possum, oddly enough. It's amazing. I wonder how many writers out there learned so much about meth from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
That show was very educational for those of us who had no goals.
Inspirational as well.
Yeah. That's what so we mentioned it last week, but we're doing this 200th episode, and then we're going to take 2 weeks off. That's at least the plan as far as we know it.
It depends on how successful you are at your
I was going to say I'm going to take these 2 weeks off, and I'm going to really dive into the drug trade. I feel like I can do it. I feel like I'm finally brave enough to give it a shot. 2 months an apprenticeship with Possum. 2 months later, a couple of Boy Scouts found her naked corpse in a drainage ditch in a patch of woods outside of Eureka, California, a pale tangle of limbs sticking out of the trash and sewage of the dirty culvert. Though the case officially went to homicide detective McClenny, Detective Standler had been at the crime scene assisting.
Wasn't he the Muppet?
Yeah. McClenny. Oh, that would be awesome. The Muppet Murder Files. Standler had helped take her by the arms and pull her remains from the rank sewer water and debris. As her body rose up from the muck, her head had lolled to the side and her wide, staring eyes had looked straight at him. For a moment, Standler thought he saw a flicker of life register in them, though her gray, bloated face clearly revealed she was long, long dead. Stanley settled deeper into the seat of his car and flipped open the battered copy of Hamlet. Scrolled down the long list of names he had scrawled on the last page. What a fucking week. Suspended and out on bail, looking at manslaughter charges. He was parked in front of the police chief's suburban home, waiting for the fat fuck to arrive home from work. He eyed the long list and sipped from a pint of wild turkey, washed it down with a warm Budweiser, and thought to himself, someone who could do something like that to a 14-year-old girl? How can you let someone like that live? Who would possibly miss them? Who could possibly care? And no one had. Nobody missed that piece of shit possum. 2 weeks paid administrative leave was all Stanley had received after he emptied his service revolver into the sick degenerate's face. It had been a big bust. The lab, kilos of meth, and an arsenal of weapons. Everyone in the department was happy, and all he had gotten was 2 weeks paid leave and a wild party at the Alibi, thrown by the other detectives and a gaggle of uniformed officers.
I love that the cop bar has to have a cop bar name.
Yeah, the Alibi. Yeah, me and the boys are going to meet up at the It's Cool. When the inquest asked him why he had gone out there, outside his jurisdiction, to that backwoods no man's land, he had simply replied he was following up on a lead from an informant. Which I feel like the TV shows set that up as like kind of your like constant get out of shit alibi if you're a cop. It's like I'm following up.
But at the same time too, I think the TV shows is what got people like it's so ingrained that they'd be like, oh, well, he was outside of your jurisdiction. It's like, if there was a murder in your city and you're investigating it, it's not like you hit the city limits and it's like, can't step foot over this
sheriff's
line.
Like, what's a fancy detective like you? I know I might just be some fucking hick in the city limits.
Right.
Where was I? Was following up on a lead from an informant. What was he going to say? That a ghost had told him where to look? That the little dead girl had come back from the grave and told him? That in the dark, pre-dawn hours, that twilight time between sick, drunk, and excruciatingly hungover, he would awake, lacquered in sweat, his wife snoring loudly beside him, the room spinning, his heart threatening to break free from his chest, and there she would be, a frail little girl at the foot of his bed, her stick-figure limbs draped in a white nightie, its hemline stained in dark crimson streaks. The first time...
Tell him exactly that. You get way more than 2 weeks paid leave.
Yeah, they give you a room for that. Room and food.
But they keep paying you because, yeah.
They keep paying you if you get committed.
Yeah. You're a cop. Nothing stops your paycheck.
You're a crazy cop. The guys love you. Meet them at the Alibi later. The first time he had seen her, he had screamed, horrified, the raspy noise of his own startled voice burning his dry mouth and throat. His wife awoke and shot straight up in bed. What is it? What is it? Stanley blinked, his alcohol-swollen eyes. Only darkness. The girl was gone. There was nothing. Nothing, honey. It was nothing. Just go back to sleep. I just had a nightmare.
Normal alcohol screams.
No, yeah, normal alcohol fear and dread.
She's like, I get it.
I thought about my wife. It's okay. Go back to bed. Okay, honey. His wife...
I saw your face in the moonlight.
His wife had rolled back over and immediately began snoring again. He lay there till the room grew pale in the morning light, his flesh tingling, wondering what he had seen, if he was going insane. The next time the little girl had appeared, he was calmer. He blinked twice quickly, expecting her ghostly form to disappear like last time. But she didn't disappear. She remained there, looking down at him with her cold eyes, sunken deep in their dark sockets. He stared in disbelief. Was it real? Could this pale figure possibly be real? That's when she had stepped up to him, quickly, and her blue lips parted and she began to speak, to tell him things in a whisper. He thought he could smell the grave on her breath as she murmured in his ear about the night her father had sold her to Possum. It had been a dark night, deep in the backwoods of southern Humboldt, past the mountains of Alder Point and Blocksburg, in a place that didn't even have a name near Zinnia on the Trinity border. already too much geography for me. I'm not going there.
Yeah.
You don't have to just, it was some shithole in the backwoods. Where it snowed in the winter and the cold mornings found the hills hardened in ice. The sky was black and it was pouring rain. Her father had been drunk and handled her roughly, pulling her by the arm through the muddy front yard. She was terrified and devastated that her daddy's big Danner logging boots were splashing mud up all over her dress. Her mother had been dead less than 3 weeks. Her father had shoved her roughly through the front door of Possum's trailer. "She's all fucking yours." Her father had spat at the old bearded man in greasy overalls. Possum had shuffled forward and took her cheeks into his grizzled, calloused hand, squeezing her face tightly, moving her head back and forth for inspection. "Oh, she's a pretty one." "If you say so," her father said. "She's got that weird eye and those fucked up teeth, but she can cook real good and clean. She's damn handy with a broom." "Oh, yes," the old man chuckled, handing over the sealed bundles of methamphetamine. She'll do nicely." And 2 months later, she was dead and abandoned like so much trash. The sick fucks. How could he have let them live? And no one missed Possum. No one mourned him. They had thrown Standler a party. He had been a hero. That time. The second time was different. That one had gotten him suspended, most likely fired. No pension, no 401k.
I was going to say with pay.
With pay. That got him fired with pay.
Fired with pay.
That's my dream.
Yeah. Well, now we're transferring from cop territory to college football coach territory.
Yeah, the only time where you can like be humiliated and it's like for the low price of $20 million.
Right. You're an utter disappointment. You've completely failed at your job on a national scene.
Sports contracts.
Get the fuck out, and here's your millions of bucks.
Sports contracts are beautiful.
Although corporate execs get that same treatment too, but...
Yeah, but at least, like, sports are fun.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Like, no, we're going to talk about how, like, some fuck, like, set a franchise back for 10 years. We'll talk about that for 50 years. Nobody's going to remember the executives.
Right. And I'd totally do it. Like, if I could trick somebody into paying me one of those packages to, like, I know I would bomb because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I can watch sports.
It's
but
funny.
I'd do it.
And not to derail, we won't go entirely down the football rabbit hole, but the Indianapolis Colts, as we're doing this show, just signed a guy to be their head coach whose, like, record is, like, 2-7 in high school football. That is his coaching experience. And if I had known that, I would have applied for the job myself.
Right.
Because
I live pretty close to Indianapolis. I could get there pretty quickly.
I'll make the trip. How about this? Out of pocket. I'll come and meet with you.
Well, here's the thing. As a head football coach, I'm undefeated.
Yeah. That's true. I am batting 500. All right, so no pension, no 401k. You might even see some time for that one. Standler sipped his whiskey, reached down between his legs, and lifted up the Beretta. An old pistol, his father had given it to him long ago. He cradled the heavy, cold weight of the gun, waiting for his old boss, that fat fuck, to arrive back at his nice suburban home. Maybe his wife would find him dead on their well-manicured front lawn. Maybe one of his teenage kids. Oh well, to have a sick fuck like that for a father, just desserts. It was a warm night and he had the window down, the whine of passing trucks on the 101 softly humming in his ears. He thought of Hamlet. He had taken a Shakespeare class back in college when he was studying criminal law, still entertaining the idea of going on to law school and becoming an attorney before Charlotte got pregnant and he quit school and joined the force so he could start making money for his new family, only to ever give birth to a stillborn boy 7 months later, never to conceive again. Hamlet, that tale of the haunted Danish prince, had always stuck with him. standing atop the castle parapet, the ghost of his father crying out to him to avenge his savage murder. The ghost. My hour is almost come, when I, too, sulphurous and tormenting flames, must render up myself. Standler always wondered, was Hamlet insane? Well, yeah, he was. That was... read the book, you know?
Yeah.
But no, that would mean they were all insane. Horatio, Marcellus, Bernardo. Yeah, again, they're all insane. They had all... Yeah.
Between like lead poisoning and incest and everything else, everybody in reality in those times were insane, especially the rich ones. Like,
maybe they weren't insane for seeing the ghost, but the ghost at least drove them all insane. And that's every good Shakespeare play. Is, you know, they all talk to a fucking ghost at some point. They had all seen it. They couldn't all be insane. It had to be true. The ghost had to be real. The second time the little girl told Standler to kill, things hadn't worked out like they had with Possum. My father, she whispered. Kill him. And how couldn't he? Anyone who would do something as sick as sell their own daughter surely deserved to die. She described his car, where he would be, the pound of meth Standler would find in the truck, the Glock he always kept under his seat. Standler had waited at the Red Lion Hotel on Broadway, right where the little girl had told him to, and just like clockwork, the car had rolled right into the parking lot. Standler had been amused at the look of surprise on the man's face when he strolled up with his .38 leveled right at eye level, squeezing a round off before the jerk even had a chance to utter a word. But there was no meth in the trunk, no gun under the seat, and it wasn't her father at all. At least that's...
Whoops.
Yeah, at least that's what the investigator said. They claimed it was just some businessman from Santa Rosa. You know? I like that's what they said. But it's like, hey, there was no drugs and no gun.
They're covering it up for absolutely zero reason.
Right. But when Melissa appeared before him the next night, shimmering and ghastly in the moonlight, she told him no, it had been her father. They were lying. All of them. Lying liars. The little girl had whispered to him with her pale blue lips and the graveyard breath. They had tried to hide it. It was a conspiracy, and they had fired him because the police chief was in on it. That's why the police chief was next. He had to go. That's why Standler sat in his car outside his house, a pistol cradled in his hands. He had to kill his old boss, off that meth-dealing, slave-keeping, degenerate son of a bitch. And there were more. There are many of them, the frail ghost had murmured. His wife was one of them. She had made the list. She was a cheating meth whore, fucking the whole department for crank. The little girl had told him all about it, late at night, moments before the morning, when the earth swelled silent and cold and his heart beat so it threatened to leave his chest. Yes, there were many of them. A whole list, and it was a long list.
There's a Treehouse of Horrors episode from Simpsons. I think it's a Treehouse of Horrors one, where Homer like hides a walkie-talkie in a Bible and gets it to Ned, and then pretends to be God and commands him to start killing like anybody that Homer. And that's exactly what this is reminding me of now.
Well, I didn't know it, but that's the end of it. I thought that was longer. Yeah.
I kind of thought that would be and that was a good ending, and that I kind of fucked up because I was thinking of The Simpsons, but
yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it's short, but I actually really liked it. I thought it was well written. I thought it was relatively creative, especially like the couple different turns it it took. You know, him seeing the ghost and killing Possum, and then like her saying to kill the father. Then like, so you expect, you're like, oh yeah, it's going to be a list of people that are bad, and then it's like, oh no, like the first one was real, and then it seems like the guy just starts murdering people.
Yeah,
like.
Yeah,
willy-nilly.
And I love the whole like breakdown of like, wait, am I just crazy? And it's like, absolutely.
Nah. Yeah, I liked the tie to the Hamlet there too. I thought that was pretty creative.
I'm a sucker for like Shakespeare references and stuff.
Yeah, but I liked how it kind of referenced it, but without being a direct, like, this is just like Hamlet.
Man,
it's
this
like,
reminds me of the time of Hamlet. Yeah, it's a Family Guy episode. You think that's bad?
Right.
Remember when Hamlet?
Right. So, no, I thought that was pretty, and it was well written. Not a lot of, like, wording choices or grammar stuff that I would particularly, like, point out. Not that we do it all the time, but I'm about the least qualified person in the world to do it.
Yeah.
But that's not true. We've read a lot of stories where when you can't, like, when your brain can't physically process a sentence, I think anybody's equipped to be like, yeah. That's kind of awkward. But no, this one was well written, so.
Yeah, I feel like 25 minutes is way too cheap for a 200th episode. So, you want to do a doubleheader?
If you got another one, sure.
I can find another one real quick. Because there's a random button.
I thought maybe we'd just fill out some time by, like, talking football again. Be like, all right, 200th episode's over. Now 200.5 is we're turning into the sports show.
That would be a hell of a reveal.
Welcome to Non-Essential Sports.
I always try to find ones where, like, I want the comments to be, like, either really positive or really negative.
Really negative, yeah. I find I don't look at the comments too much. I think it's reflected in the episodes that I've done with Creepypastas, where you're like, I read a paragraph or two and the title sounds interesting. And then you get into, you're like, well, I got duped.
Yeah. All right. This is a Pokemon one. we haven't done too many that, like, tie into, like, video
actual
games
stuff,
and
yeah.
shit. But that's a whole...
Yeah, isn't one of the most famous ones on there? What is it? The death of
Sonic.exe, Ben Drowns.
Yeah, Ben Drowns is the one that I was thinking of.
Which I've always meant to do on here, but it's a pretty long one. Yeah, it's how I found out about creepypastas, because they're fucking hilarious.
Because you drowned.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, they wrote about it.
You're like, this story is only mostly true, but I lived, fuckers.
All right, this one's called Disabled, and it doesn't look like it has an author attached to it. If there is an author, I can find him.
Yeah, no, it's by Humboldt.
Yeah, we'll just attribute both of them to him. All right, this is called Disabled. When it comes to Pokemon, my favorites have to be Jigglypuff and Wiggly-tough. Already crazy. Absolutely.
I am unaware of Wiggly-tough.
Wiggly-tough is it's like anything else, where the evolution is a bigger, fatter one of the original.
Yeah, I feel like with a name like that, I should be aware of it, but I did not know Wiggly-tough. Tell Tara when we're done that I've got a new pet name for her to call me.
Wiggly-tough sounds like a cute way for, like, a doctor to tell you have, like, a hernia or something.
It's the cancer. What is it? Is it the good cancer? Or not good cancer, but is it treatable or not? But I'm afraid I have to tell you this cancer is Wiggly-tough.
Yeah, it's like a speech impediment. It's like, it's Wiggly-tough to cure.
That's a guy from Boston now. That's what that sounds like.
Like I said.
Bro, that's Wiggly-tough.
When I was a little girl, I'd dream of having a puffy Jigglypuff. I even used to have a bunch of Jigglypuff and Wiggly-tough plushies. See, I want a really, like, real skinny Jigglypuff. Malnourished. They would surround my pillow, and each night I would cuddle with a different one, just to make sure they each got some love. Anytime my Jigglypuff or Wiggly-tough used sing, I would hum the little tune with them, thinking it made my chances better for the opposing Pokemon to fall asleep. I was very naive back then, but it was a blissful innocence, to be honest. Hell, I even played Jigglypuff in the Brawl games. I didn't care if anyone else didn't like her. I did. I feel like in my circle, if you played Smash Bros, like Jigglypuff was useless, but then you would see in like pro tournaments people use her. And I was like, how? She doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, that makes it easier. You don't have to learn any controls. You just sleep.
Yeah.
I hope the others follow suit.
Yeah. just run in a circle. So when I got my hands on Pokemon Soul Silver when it first came out, I of course made it my mini mission to find a Jigglypuff and Wiggly-tough. I went through the game waiting for Puffs and Tuffs to show up. I'm going to be so tired of saying Puff and Tuff by the time this is over. I encountered the occasional trainer with a Puff or Tuff, but I soon found out that Jigglypuffs could only be caught in one set area, which I later found out to be the game's Safari Zone, and Wiggly-tuffs could not be found in the wild at all, for me. At that point, Safari Zone was not active for me, so I was stuck waiting a little while longer to capture my beloved Puff. After a week or so of battling and schoolwork, Safari Zone was finally available. I went there once I had a chance to go and went on a hunt for Jigglypuff, and of course, it was not easy. I ran into maybe 8 the first trip and lost all 8 of them. I remember calling my DS Lite a cheater. I remember my DS Lite calling me a cheater.
There were crazy times back then.
Next day, though, I finally caught my first Jigglypuff. I happily named her June and put her in, that's Guun, and put her in my party ASAP. It took some time to get her to level up with the rest of my team, but well worth it for me. I even kept her sing since it felt so nostalgic to hear that lovely tune again. Sadly, school got busy for me for a while, so I was forced to put my game on hold. But once I got
You're not a real Jigglypuff lover.
Yeah, you're just a poser puff.
Poser. Yeah.
But once I got my free time back, I went right back to work, making sure all my Pokemon loved me, especially my June. It's a video game. They all love you anyway.
Well, right. They have no choice.
Yeah. But I still didn't have my Wiggly-tough. I didn't want to lose June, so I thought about getting in an already evolved Wiggly-tough, since Safari Zone has proven its dislike of me. So I set a call out on the wireless trade asking for a Wiggly-tough, any gender and any level. It's like a breeder.
It sounds like that possum guy from the last story.
Yeah, this Wiggly-tough will do.
This'll do.
I wasn't picky at the time, but now I wish I had been picky. In exchange for a new Wiggly-tough, I put out a wonderfully bred Totodile that had some killer moves, even for a level 6. Totodile's cool. If you don't know anything about Pokemon, Totodile looks like he could fucking start moonwalking.
Yeah. I'm quickly finding out from the story that I do not know anything about Pokemon.
I mean, this is, it went once. Here's the thing about me and Pokemon. Like, I was into it like any kids my age, but I was sold a bill of goods that there was 151. And then they added like 5 million. And at that point, I was like, I can't. I'm out. Yeah, pretty much. I still play the games occasionally, but I don't know who any of these fuckers are. These are...
I played one of them. It was either X or Y. I don't even remember which, because it seems like that's the thing now, although maybe not so much with like the Switch ones, but where like if a new handheld one comes out, there's always 2 versions.
They still do that, yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like the only difference is they're the exact same except for one Pokemon's in one and one's in the other. Yeah. And that seems like crazy to me because people are buying both versions just to get... brutal
economic strategy targeting
but for
kids.
some reason Nintendo gets like loved for it, where
I mean, they're fun games. It's a nightmare for like a completionist. Yeah.
And I will say, whichever of those 2 that I played, I liked it. Yeah. I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, I mean, for a thing they do every year, they're pretty solid.
Yeah. I did not catch them all.
No. I got to the first cave and probably lost a fight and quit, but...
I got through the game. I beat the game, but I did what I think most people that aren't hardcore Pokemon people do is you get that one good Pokemon, and then you don't, and it was so good that I didn't have to fucking care, like, about, like, the whole thing, if you've not played it, you can, like, you battle, but it's almost like a rock, paper, scissors things where they have different elements, and certain elements match up better against other ones, so you're trying to blah, blah, blah. But you can get, mine was good enough that I didn't have to fuck with any of that. Yeah. It could just bulldoze.
If you grind, you can tackle anything.
Right.
I mean, literally the move tackle. Because it's just like, there's no element attached to it. You just fuck a thing up.
Yeah. So I did not play it the way that it's meant to be played by a Pokemon, like, connoisseur.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. It was fine. Yeah. It was a good RPG.
I'm going to get you a wiggly-tough plushie. Then you'll be a fan.
Yeah. Oh my god, my life has changed. It would be like that time I sent you Dark Souls, except for...
That did change my life.
Right.
That actually legit was like a pivotal moment. Like, as sad as it is to say. Like, I waited for hours thinking someone would see the quality right away and send a trade. I waited days. Maybe someone would just happen to want a Totodile to raise. Nearly 2 weeks had passed and I still had no response. I had already given up hope and was ready to use a Moonstone on June. This is a weird thing to me of like, I don't want my thing to evolve. It's like, that happened in the cartoon too. Like, Ash would not let Pikachu evolve, and that is directly playing God.
Right.
That thing is meant to get fat and have diabetes like the rest of us. And
plus, to me, it just sounds like this person that's like, I'm this uber Pokemon fan that loves these wiggly-toughs and jigglypuffs. And I caught one Jigglypuff, and I'm not fucking doing that again.
Yeah.
Like,
it's probably really hard to level them up to the point where they evolve, to be fair. But, because you're just singing at everyone. I ended up checking one last time to make sure, and I wanted to get my Totodile back somehow if no one was going to take him. But it didn't send me to the main menu for the wireless trading. Instead, I got the dramatic evolving music, and a Pokeball came flying from the top of the screen to the bottom. Finally, I got my Wiggly-Tough. I quickly logged out to see my new friend, a female Wiggly-Tough, level 26. The name was a bit odd, though. Disabled. In all caps. I didn't get why someone would name a Wiggly-Tough that, but I had seen stranger names for Pokemon. I just wish I could have changed it, but for some reason you can never change the name of a traded Pokemon.
Well, thank God you didn't get Ass Blaster.
Yeah, the shits. Is in your party. Its information was a bit odd, but I was never one of those kids, I was never one for those kinds of details, or learning the meanings behind those details. Gloomy nature, and it only knew one move, sing. I didn't recall ever seeing gloomy before, but I had seen timid, so I figured if they can be shy, they can be sad too. Though you would have to wonder what Pokemon would be gloomy, and the fact that it only knew sing did bug me. It would have been nice if its previous trainer left some more moves, but I had some nice TMs to try it on anyway. For people that don't know, TMs are like fucking cheating. No, it's some way you give them more moves. Or you give them 4 copies of Sing. Despite the
Are they like 4 different songs at least? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, this one I thought it's a Taylor Swift song.
It's Aerosmith. They're all bad. Yeah. Despite the off information, I was eager to try out the Wiggly-Tough in battle, which is another thing I love about Pokemon. Like, this writer, the character, loves Wiggly-Toughs and Jigglypuffs, and as soon as she finally gets one, is like, I want to make it fight.
Right.
It's gonna fuck something up, or it's gonna get fucked up. God damn it!
I'm telling you, the main character is Possum.
Yeah,
it is. It's the same story. You're just trying to like put one over on me, like,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
the prequel. I checked my character's bag and picked the best TM I was almost sure would work. I ended up picking Hidden Power, Swagger, and Explosion. Explosion's a very funny name for a Pokemon move.
I've got that move.
Yeah.
Depending on what I've eaten, yeah.
I gave her Hidden Power, Swagger, and Taco Bell.
Yeah. The other trainer, oh no, here, run for the border.
The battle music came on, and the Pokemon was a Ponyta. I picked Fight and used Sing, just to make Wigglytuff's first fight was easy. It failed. Well, I knew Sing didn't always work out, so I didn't think of anything of it. Ponyta used Tail Whip. It was cute, but only lowered my defense. My turn again, so I used Hidden Power, just to see if it was in the right place for it. It wasn't. Since I barely made a nick in the Ponyta's HP, it used Tail Whip again. I figured that the game was using that same trick the lower level Pokemon used. This time I tried Sing again. The screen acted like it had used Sing, but there was no sound. Sing was disabled. I just stared at my screen. How was its Sing unusable? Was it a stupid trick? I let Ponyta use its Tail Whip again, but then Wigglytuff shook a bit like it was suffering from an effect. I thought I saw the sprite change, but then I realized that I probably got a glitchy Pokemon. I cussed a bit, pissed that I lost a good Pokemon for a hacked one. I like a good bit of cussing myself.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm going to go out and have a cuss. I didn't want this one messing with my game, so I picked Run. Disabled wants to fight. You could not leave the battle. Oh, come on, I remember saying out loud. I kept thinking it was probably about to ruin my game. I thought Ponyta was about to attack this turn, but it didn't. Its little sprite shook like it had been poisoned. Ponyta was frozen in fear. It might not attack. I knew this was getting too weird. I tried to pick Run again, but another weird text came up. Disabled wants to fight. You cannot leave the battle. I didn't even see that the text was different this time. I was able to pick another option. I couldn't run, so I fought. I tried Hidden Power again. Hidden Power was disabled. I had to pick another one. I tried Swagger. Swagger was disabled. What was doing this to its moves? All these questions popped up in my head, one after another. What did that guy who gave me this Wigglytuff do? I have to escape. I can't keep this Pokemon. I knew I could just turn the game off, but I wanted to see what was happening. I wanted to see what was wrong with my Wigglytuff. I was stuck with only two options, Sing and Explosion. I think we're all stuck with those options.
Yeah.
You know.
I was going to say, that's now I'm having PTSD flashbacks to like the elementary school Christmas musical. Sometimes, folks, it turns out you can cast Sing and Explosion at the same time.
Yeah, sometimes it's both. Sing was already disabled from my past attempts, so I could only use Explosion. The move that would take out the Wigglytuff and the Ponyta too, ending the battle. I thought that maybe it was a good thing. Explosion was disabled. I didn't even have a chance to react before more text came up. Disabled tried using Sing. Sing was disabled. It was doing it on its own. The sprite started shaking a bit more than before. More, obviously. Ponyta is frozen in fear. It can no longer escape from battle. I felt my heart start to pound. Maybe this was what Ponyta was feeling at the time. Disabled tried using Sing. Sing was disabled. 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 There's a whole paragraph of that. I'm not reading it.
See, sometimes those kind of tricks are effective in written text because your brain sees it and you don't have to sit and read each word. You just know, like, hey, there's this block of text. Yeah, when you're narrating, it becomes a bitch.
Yeah,
like,
not for a Pokemon pasta. God damn it. Each time the text past Wigglytuff's sprite turned darker and darker. Disabled used Struggle. I watched in horror as the Wigglytuff used Struggle, like it had no other moves to use. Most of the time it didn't even hit the Ponyta, just Wigglytuff like it was hurting itself. The Ponyta finally fled from the battle and the sequence ended. I wish I could have gone with it. Since Wigglytuff was first in my party, it was walking along with me on screen. Its colors looked dirty and red could be seen on it. I turned my character to talk to it. ... It didn't say anything to me. I tried again, becoming strangely desperate to figure out what was happening to the wiggly-tough I was so joyed to finally have. ... I just wanted to sing. I wasn't sure who was talking. Maybe it was a voiceover, I thought. I talked to it again. Why can't I sing? Well, some of us are tone deaf. It's not your fault. We're just...
I mean, I've had this conversation
our
with
chords
myself
are
before,
shitty.
too. Right.
Just sing. Each time I spoke to it, its cry grew softer and softer, like it was a toy breaking. I began to feel bad for wiggly-tough and headed back for the city to heal it. It was the least I could do before I turned my game off, taking it back to the time when I just barely got it, before I used it. Sadly, we didn't get far. We encountered another Pokemon battle, another Ponyta. I picked Run, but just like last time. Disabled wants to fight. You cannot escape the battle. No one had time to react to what happened during this fight. Ponyta was too slow for some reason and was stuck in battle. The option menu did not come up for me. Disabled tried to use Sing. Sing, 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 sing. There was so much text it moved off the box itself. It was finally glitching out, I thought. Disabled used Struggled. It struggled and struggled and struggled and struggled and struggled and struggled. You get the idea.
I hope they copied and pasted all these and didn't like individually type out.
I hope they did, because they expected me to read it.
That's true.
With each struggle, wiggly-tough took more and more damage, though this time the wild Ponyta got hit more this time too. The wild Ponyta fled. I thought the fight was over, but the battle screen stayed up. I began mashing the buttons, thinking maybe it was going to talk again, and I needed to press A or B. The screen faded and changed to the evolving screen. I couldn't speak. My heart sank and I felt my eyes water. The once normal, wiggly-tough sprite was faded. Its left ear was torn off, and red pixel covered the broken end. Its tired
Pokemon's a lot more hardcore than I remember.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking metal, man. That's a metal tough. Its tired eyes were pitch black, and only a red dot to show its pupils. Even its mouth had red coming from it, like blood was dripping out. Why can't I sing? Why? Why? Can you sing? Yes or no? I picked no. I just wanted this to end. You're lying. You can sing. Give me your sing. Yes or no? I hit no about 4 or 5 times. Sing. Sing. Shh. That's the best I could do. That's a lot of punctuation. It's really hard to auditorially do text. The speakers let out a high-pitched screech, making me drop my DS to get away. I can't recreate a high-pitched screech.
I just need... If a spider ran across the room right now, maybe I could get it.
My only response to a spider is like, oh, fuck. And then I get bit and die. I ran out of my room and called a friend. I couldn't touch the game after that. My friend came over, seeing as I could not hide the panic I was feeling. She laughed at me, but I told her I wasn't touching the game. She picked it up for me and looked at it, shaking her head as she turned it off and closed it. She handed it back to me. I think you broke it, she told me, leaving my room and heading for the living room. She stayed with me the rest of the day and night. I couldn't get that image out of my head. The next morning, with my friend sitting next to me, I put the wiggly-tough up for trade. I found someone that was offering a Cyndaquil in exchange for a wiggly-tough. I hit the button as hard as I could, wanting it to hurry up. The trade went through. I still have the Cyndaquil. Whoever had him named him Hurry. The end.
Named him Disabled.
Named him I Can Sing.
Why did you trade me?
So that's a very good kind of... That is what you get from a video game creepypasta. It's always like some fucking weird graphical shit will cover Sonic the Hedgehog in blood. And then like they also have this obsession with like there's a character in like one of the Final Fantasy games named Kefka who has like a famous laugh. And for some reason that ends up in every video game creepypasta. It's like he did a laugh like the Kefka laugh. So yeah, that's the non-essential double feature to send us out.
Double header.
Yeah. Which story wins? I wonder.
Yeah, I was gonna say basically everything I said about the first story, the opposite for the second story. No, that's not fair.
It wasn't bad. It was just a video game thing. They're all silly. Yeah. Like it's and also I love the like buck passing of the Pokemon community. It's like, oh, I got a fucking haunted wiggly-tough. I'll give it up for
give it back.
Put it up for trade.
Yeah, that's the thing is I kept expecting it to like seep into like the narrator's not narrator's view, but the protagonist's like real world or something like that. But there was no consequences. It was just like it was weird. It didn't work.
Yeah, it just hacked her game. Well, which would piss me off if I got a fucking Jigglypuff after hours.
I'd be panicking because like if I had what I thought was a virus or a hack or something on a computer, I at least know how to address that. On a DS or something, I'd be like, well,
that's fucked.
This thing's probably fucked, yeah.
I think my brother hacked his 3DS. It always scared the shit out of me. Because Nintendo's like one of those companies where it's like...
They'll just show up at your door and be like, hey.
Yeah, they'll shoot you on site. No, they'll just like put out a like quick fucking thing to brick it entirely.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, all those fucking games you bought? They don't work anymore. And it's like that's a steep price to pay because I just wanted to put porn on it.
Right. I don't know. It's probably worth it.
Yeah, it was a PSP. That's what we did when we were kids. I don't know why we all had computers then, but
it's
the novelty.
Right.
It's like after I'm done, I can play Luminous. It's outstanding. Those are the stories, and that's the show this week. For anyone who's followed us to episode 200, thank you.
Yeah,
for all of our like gripes.
That's more effort than I've put in.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you really are doing the heavy lifting for this show. For all of our jokes and shit about all the like fucking laziness and effort it takes that we're not willing to do every week to put a show together. It's actually crazy to me that we're this far into it. This show doesn't feel like multi-year-old to me at all.
I know. I was thinking about that because you think 200 episodes, and in and of itself, that doesn't necessarily mean much because there's podcasts that are like daily, but this is weekly, and we've taken weeks off too, so it's been more than 200 weeks. And it's like, well, fuck, it still feels like... Because we've done, it was one show, the Enjoystick, the video game stuff, but we did like 4 different iterations of that first, too.
Yeah.
So to me, it does feel like we still just like kind of switched to this format.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, we did that show, for the better part of a decade, it felt like. And then, like, we took some time off, and then, like, we both like doing this. And I think
for some reason. I don't know why. But...
I don't know. It's just fun. It's still, there are definitely weeks where, it's definitely more slapdash and thrown together, but it's still one of the fun points of my week. So, and anybody who's given us a shot and enjoyed it, like, that's awesome.
Also go seek help.
I mean, fucking... we should be right there behind them.
Oh no, that was directed to you, not them, not the listener. I was talking directly to you, Ben. Go seek help.
You're not wrong. But yeah, so like we said, we're going to take a couple weeks off. 1 week's just sort of, I think we earned it. And then after that, we got Thanksgiving. I think the next episode will be December 6th, if I'm getting my Tuesdays right. So
I bet you, if you give me, it gives me like 3 weeks to find an appropriate like Christmas creepypasta or something. So I won't.
Yeah, fucking. There are movies and shit that try to. Christmas isn't scary. There's nothing scary about it. Like, I don't care if you give Santa a chainsaw.
I disagree, but the scariest part about Christmas is, like, right now. It's not at Christmas. It's, like, I was thinking about it today. It came up. I was talking to somebody, and it's like, wait, oh, shit. I think I only have 2 more paychecks between now and Christmas, and we haven't bought shit for anybody.
That's a fair point.
It's like, that's terrifying.
Yeah, if you learned anything from our show, the fucking economy is more terrifying than anything we can bring to it. So yeah.
Anyway,
that's the plan, and yeah, we'll see you back then. I don't know if we'll keep numbering them when we start back up. It almost feels crazy too after this.
I kind of have to, just the way that Libsyn, or it was where we host through, and that's like how they like differentiate them so they can make sure that they show up on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. But we don't necessarily have to keep referring to the numbers.
We could call it 1X.
Yeah.
It's a whole new show where we talk about sports.
Or just slightly change the name, and instead of being the non-essential podcast, be like the kind of essential podcast.
No. I don't know. Like, I joked about it on Twitter, but like, with Elon Musk determined to like destroy it in record time, we might actually have to promote this show. And that'll be kind of tough. So, but there will be a rebranding opportunity there.
Yeah, that's true too.
But you and me both took forever to come up with this name, so I don't think we'll jump back into that.
I think we did good though. I like it.
Yeah, that's our show.
It's better than the last show where we were just like, well, the website's called Enjoystick, so this is the Enjoystick podcast.
Yeah. That was a great show. A rebel voice in the world of video gaming.
That's why we failed that, is because we were like we were too middle of the road. I guess it fail's the wrong word. We did a lot of good stuff with that show and website, but you don't get a lot of attention when you're actually like pretty reasonable.
When you don't have a lot of opinions.
Right.
Turns out it's not a good idea to have a video game show where you like don't feel anything about the games you play.
Yeah. Once like the part of me that hated David Cage and David Scott Chaffee, like,
and then you met, and then we were online long enough to see some real assholes.
Well, yeah, I'd be like, well, I kind of see where those two were coming from now, I guess. But anyway, that was the past. The history is history.
The future is now.
Is not history, and I don't know.
The past is prologue. I don't know.
That sounds too smart for me.
I don't know. I think I stole that from like a Final Fantasy 13 trailer. Worse. That was from Metroid Other M. That game sucked, and I never played it. Why do I remember that? Fuck. All right, that's it. Thank you all.
So yeah. Enjoy your Thanksgivings or equivalent celebrations, and we'll be back sometime in December.
Yeah, see you December.
Bye-bye.